Imagine this, 24 runners, 3,200 metres, and a couple of million people hanging on your every word.
They're off. Might down on the inside, began fast and
For three of Australia's best-known race callers, it's all in a day's work at the Melbourne Cup. 3UZ's Bryan Martin's call is heard on every metropolitan racing station around Australia.
Castle Water out on the track. Cropetus and Cavalry Lad. Cavalry Lad with 50 metres to go. Cavalry Lad comes back and Cavalry Lad.
The Melbourne Cup is the ultimate. It's the ultimate if you're a Melbourne boy. It's the ultimate if you're a race caller, because it's the people's race. It's so much part of our heritage, so much part of our tradition, and it's just very special. I can go back to remembering the years of people like Eric Welsh and then Bill Collins and Bert Bryant and some of the great race callers, and hearing this description come out of the Bakelite box before transistors. I've dated myself now, haven't I? And it was just amazing to hear this one horse race and the excitement.
And the leader on the inside is still Carly Princess, about a length and a half clear, moving up fast as Hassan.
John Russell calls for Sky Channel. The telecast beamed into hotels, TABs and clubs.
It's a real buzz, Melbourne Cup morning. It's just that you're sort of feeling the tension creeping into you and getting set, and as the races go by, you're really on your toes by the time the last of those horses moves in. And you hear that crowd roar as the horses are released on their journey over 3,200 metres. It's a wonderful thrill.
And our Maze Cave again, very quickly near the outside. He's spearing across well. Dane Wynn from barrier one, hopped into strike.
For Greg Miles, Cup Day has added pressure. His call is heard not only through metropolitan and regional ABC radio stations, but is also part of the huge audience which tune into Radio Australia. What goes through your mind just before that field jumps in a race like the Melbourne Cup?
I think it's a matter of just trying to keep it all together and keep the nerves and the butterflies all under control and just stay calm. I think stay calm is probably the answer, really. Don't go too soon. It's a lot like riding in the race, I think. You've really got to time the run and have something left at the finish.
A job like this could give you nightmares. Can you imagine what could go wrong?
Forget a horse, I suppose, or have a mental block. If you go wrong in a photo, that can happen in any race, and I guess it's happened many times before. You wouldn't like to make a mistake. Nobody goes out there and tries to make mistakes. But I guess a mental block would be the worst thing that could happen.
I remember a famous commentator of years gone by, without mentioning names, going back to the early 50s, that missed the favourite. He didn't see the favourite from the start until the last 100 yards, as it was then, and it emerged. So he was rather upset about that.
Every horse has to get a coverage a couple of times in the race. You do tend to hone in a little bit on the favourite because that's where the money rides. It's as simple as that.
Presser and Gold Sovereign out widest on the track is in front of the Melbourne Cup when they come down past the 400-metre mark.
For these three men, calling a Melbourne Cup is the pinnacle of their respective careers.
With the buzz of excitement and the people streaming into the track and the cars going out there, the traffic, it's all a real build-up to what is, in my humble opinion, the greatest race that I've ever witnessed.
I would have been happy doing the Manangatang gallops on the same day, I think. Just calling races, being involved was all I was interested in. It's a game where if you don't have the breaks and have the luck, like anything, I guess, you'll just end up nowhere. I was working at the ABC. Joe Brown was at the age that he thought retirement was beckoning, and they looked at me and gave me a chance. I mean, it was just out of this world, just total luck.
It stops the nation, so to be a part of all that production on Melbourne Cup Day, to describe that to your listeners is something we aim for all year, and I suppose it's something you aim for through your career.
And their tip for 1995?
No idea yet. 3 or 4 that I'm looking at. Storm's up amongst them. Quick Ransom. No, I haven't made up my mind. I'll have to wait until after Saturday and really sort it out.
Robert Sangster, who's an excellent judge, declares that Double Trigger is a 12 lengths better horse than Vintage Crop. That being the case, if the horse does everything right during his sojourn here, he's going to be the one to beat, I feel, despite his big weight.
I'd rather be probably on the local jockeys who've had the experience here, and a horse like Jearn is a Flemington horse. He's the horse to beat.
Over on the inside, clear now, Jearn. Jearn has raced 2 lengths in front of Impala and Paris Lane. Jearn, the import, is holding them at bay. It's Jearn in front for David Hayes, 2 lengths in front of Paris Lane, and Impala, and Jearn wins the Melbourne Cup.